Welcome back to Kapowich on Real Estate. This is a program dedicated to consumer protection within the residential real estate arena. Speaking of protection, we want to protect the seller's investment and get their home the highest price possible in the shortest amount of time. And how do we do that? We have it inspected, and what else? We have it staged?
Yes, that's right. We
Okay.
stage homes.
For our first program, it took 188 programs to have a stager here.
Wow.
Yeah. So you want to introduce yourself and how you arrived in this industry?
Sure. My name is Sejal Parekh, and I'm a professional home stager. I founded my business about 4 years ago. I actually came out of the bio field, but have had a love of decorating growing up, and I love the idea of transforming so-so looking space into something that's magnificent.
So you are a scientist, and you're helping people decorate their homes.
Decorate their homes, yes.
Okay, I was trying to think of a good term. A scientific
The natural
term.
progression, right?
Okay. Now, I've attended your seminar that you put on with one of your partners in the industry, a Court Furniture.
Yeah, sales rep from Court Furniture, Lori Ramirez. So we work
Okay.
closely when we're staging homes. So.
Now, I actually ran into her before at a Court Furniture location.
Okay.
She's one of the managers there, I guess. That's something about staging when it came into the industry. Some stagers might have a warehouse full of things, or they might have some things at home, or they can go to Cost Plus or Pier 1 Imports on a particular job. And then, of course, we use those furniture rentals
Exactly.
as well.
Yeah.
Right? So what is the business model of staging? Is it 2 months, 1, 3 months?
It can be monthly, it can be 2 months, it can be longer. A good time frame is 2 months, because by the time a home sells, it takes still 30 days to close escrow. So 2 months is a good, especially in this area, is a good time frame for rental.
Okay, now I did ask you to bring some slides from your presentation.
Yes.
So let's go ahead to the first slide there, Ryan, if we can. There we are, Court, your partner. Now you put this slideshow together with
Lori, and we were training realtors on how to prepare their listings. So this was a little primer on staging.
And that's where I met you at Silicon Valley Association of Realtors. Okay, Ryan, next slide.
So this is a home that's been staged using Court Furniture and accessories of a stager. This is kind of just to show that furniture should be placed in a very particular way. It's clutter-free. It's very specifically oriented so that the traffic flow is very easy for potential buyers to walk through.
Okay. I love this one. Why is it important to stage a home?
You know, it really comes down to price and time. A staged home can sell anywhere, as the slide shows, from 6.3 to 17%, and about half the time less on market versus an unstaged home.
And that's the thing that I notice, homes typically sell a lot faster. Now, in terms of the reasons to stage a home, as opposed to when the family stays there or they're living there, it's going to look like that family lives there.
Exactly.
Right?
And when we stage it, we make it appealing to a huge audience of people, which gets multiple offers and gets the home to sell quickly or even above list price. So.
Okay. Now this is number 4 here. On the MLS, your partner mentioned about how when the public looks at this, there's a few seconds it's going to grab their attention or not.
Exactly, and that's the key chance that agents and sellers have to capture the attention. So if those photos don't look their best, then you've lost potential buyers right away.
Remember, our director challenged me to see if we'd get through these slides, so let's try it. Here is that a before and after?
Here's a quick before and after. We use a glass tabletop and some table settings to spruce up the space. It makes it.
Now I like that on the counter. You see above the counter the little shelves there. We put something in there too.
Yep, just something light and a cookbook, as you can see on the edge of the counter too.
Now what we typically do, yeah, my director's challenging me here. The light fixture. Sometimes they have a light fixture from the Reagan administration.
Yes, we see that a lot.
Okay.
And those are usually brass and way too attention attracting, so a nice modern steel one.
Okay, next slide, Mr. Director.
Here we're
The biggest mistakes. The biggest mistakes when it comes to staging. That it costs a lot of money?
Yes, that it costs a lot. If you can't do the entire house, then it's not worth staging. But just a few rooms can make a huge difference.
Now, in terms of I like this number 4 again here, the mismatched items. We see a lot of that in real estate.
Exactly. You know, it's people just kind of present the home with whatever they have, and sometimes a stager can come in and repurpose things to pull a certain look together. So when it's mismatched, it just looks very messy and not attractive.
Now, you can't have a different look each room, but to have it in the same room is a little bit different.
Yes, exactly.
Right, okay. All right, next slide. Oh, I love this. When to stage. I'm going to hit this real fast here. Vacant homes, difficult market, especially with a higher priced home. Now, unique homes, we see that, whether it's an Eichler style or with a flat roof, or it's a weird shaped townhouse.
Exactly, if there's some weird add-on or some funny space that's not normal.
Okay, now a relisted house, that's when it did not sell the first time with real estate company number 1, and it's back on the market with real estate company number 2. Now, of course, the homes that need updated, we have a lot of that where it's the same sink, same faucets, same everything as when the home bought it.
Exactly.
You could still put in staging there and dress it up.
Exactly. With fresher furniture, it actually gives the home kind of a 20-year makeover just with newer furnishings.
And of course, when the home has been on the market a while, it's not selling, sometimes instead of doing a price reduction, you can have a stager come out and help them.
Exactly.
Which leads to the last one, the cluttered home. The designers and stagers like you come out and help the family remove items.
We do. So if it's a live-in cellar situation, we advise them on what to pack up, and it often gets the seller, jump-starts them in getting their home cleaned up.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is good right here, this do-it-yourself staging. People always wonder, how much does this staging actually cost?
Exactly.
So, and I've done a lot of this in the past where we bring somebody like you out to meet with the seller, and that's typically $300 to $600
exactly
for the consultation?
For a consultation, or maybe a 2-part. Sometimes it's easier to meet with them once and come back a week later as they work on getting their home ready.
Now, this number 2 is how I got into the industry with the accessory staging, where you start dressing up the countertops, the bathroom counters, some paintings.
Exactly. Some greenery, you know, just some throw pillows. That's using if the client has great furniture or good furniture to start with, then that's just a nice little sheen that goes on top.
Okay, and the description of your vignette, that was nice with the presentation you gave. That's a certain feel you would give?
Yeah, it's not bringing in a complete set of furniture, but maybe just a side chair and a side table and a lamp, just to create a little bit of warmth in a room that draws buyers in.
And then, of course, the full service, that's when you do the whole 9 yards.
Yep, if the home is totally vacant, we bring in everything from furniture all the way to accessories.
Okay, next slide. Tell us about this right here. I love a fireplace, but I can't see it.
Exactly. This is a family room that we staged of a house that was vacant, so all this was brought in. This fireplace was a dated piece with the brass and the black screen, so we actually just downplay the fireplace by focusing the furniture on to the right of that, but you can still see the back end of the fireplace.
Now, if that was a spectacular fireplace with stone all the way to the top, that's something you'd be showing off.
It would be, and maybe we'd move that side chair out from the fireplace a little bit so you have a nice clear path to it.
The throw rugs, we see a lot of those nowadays, right?
Exactly. These are these neutral seagrass type rugs, so they kind of neutralize the space, and they're a nice foundation to put furniture on top of.
What about the Persian rugs? Are those coming out of style?
You know what? For me, I find them too busy and too many colors, and it kind of restricts the color scheme. Often they're red or blue or that type of thing.
Okay.
So I almost don't like to bring the eye down to the floor too much.
Okay, next slide. Wow, this tell us about this one.
Yeah, this is a gorgeous loft, and this has been staged just with furniture. This is showing without the final little touch of greenery and accessories. This is some of the furniture that Court uses. So this is just to show a nice open living room setup, and we floated the couches in the middle with this coffee table so buyers could walk all the way around.
Now, this is a good example. Let's go back there, Mr. Director. Your partner, when he gave the slide, if she was living there, this would probably be furnished in a different manner.
Very different. If someone was living there, you would probably have maybe a TV where the painting is facing the fireplace, so the couch would then be facing the fireplace. But this is a good arrangement for walking through.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, but not a very practical living arrangement. And that's actually a key, is living versus how you present a home to sell.
Okay. Remember, we're playing Beat the Director here, so let's go to the next slide here. Vignette. I love this. This is just, talk about this, how important this is. If you're not going to stage the whole house with furniture, let's do something else.
Exactly. So a vignette is, like we were saying, just creating a little focal point in a room, whether it's a side chair and an art piece, maybe in a corner. There's also just tabletop vignettes, which is a coffee cup and a book, or rolled up towels, in the bathroom. So there's little things we do to create the vision of someone living in the home.
Okay, so let's go back to our table here. I just happen to have a little staging item. We've got a camera. Here we go. Now, is this an example of a vignette item?
This would be a great centerpiece for a table, and this would be kind of a nice starting point to decorate.
Okay, I know in your seminars you have the realtors break into teams and create different vignettes.
A little vignette. We give them different accessories, and we challenge them to put just a quick little vignette, and it doesn't take them very long.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, next slide. Next one. There we go.
So this is another example of a furniture vignette.
Now that, again, if somebody was living there, you would have it, perhaps a couch facing forward.
Exactly, and this could even be perhaps a bedroom. Maybe they've done it in a bedroom or in a hallway or living room.
Okay, next slide.
And this is another vignette.
Now tell us about this one, where you talked about colors before. Now these colors all match.
Exactly, but this is all coordinated. It has kind of a gray and almost like a light purple unifying theme with the black pieces. So this has been chosen to all coordinate well.
Now when you choose things like this, some of this you may own, some you may rent.
Exactly.
And you put it together.
Right.
Okay, next slide. Now let's talk about when this is, I know, a picture taken off an MLS out of state. So we see a lot of this in the industry where they have a picture of a commode, right? Or a picture of a backyard patio with no furniture on it. Can
Exactly.
you speak about poor pictures on the MLS?
Yeah, sometimes it's surprising the types of photos that go up on MLS when they're trying to sell a property. So this is an example, and even on a lower budget, there's a lot of things that could be done in a case like this to spruce up the picture.
Now, in this, what are we missing here? The great-grandparents that should see?
Yeah, you imagine two grandparents there. I think we're missing a couch or two, a nice large rug, a coffee table. In our seminar, we talked about switching out that chandelier for a modern, just dome fixture.
The other thing I notice on fireplaces, we typically have that smoke, which indicates, one, that there might be a problem with the draft of the chimney, but getting rid of that smoke on the chimney facing the fireplace is really problematic.
Yeah, and this would be a good candidate for repainting that whole wall and cleaning up the fireplace.
Right. What about the books? I know I staged a home and the seller came out and said, I'm not a big fan of the choice of books that you have. And I looked at the books, they're all neutral.
Yeah.
Right, so you don't want to have anything political in there?
Yes.
Or any...
Yeah, you want to keep it very PC and very universal. That's kind of the main theme.
Okay. Full staging. Tell us about full staging. It's every room in the house?
That's every room in the house, or a vacant house where everything needs to be brought in. It may not be for every room. If it's what we generally recommend to start with is the master bedroom, the dining room, and the living room, and then also staging the bathroom and kitchen countertop.
So that's where a family can get the cost down if they don't. I've noticed some homes that are fully staged. Let's say it's almost a whole house, but the master is staged,
right?
But not the 3 remaining bedrooms.
Exactly. Often the bedrooms can be left vacant, but it's nice to have one bedroom, and the master's almost the featured bedroom where everything is nicely staged.
Now, even in those 3 bedrooms, though, there might be new paintings hanging there, new pictures.
Exactly, one large picture or a large ficus tree, something to draw somebody into that room. Sometimes just one item in the room versus a vacant room makes a big difference.
Okay, now what about in terms of if you have, a lot of families have paintings, for instance, from the country that they came from.
Mm-hmm.
Now that might be too much of a flavor. The person, when you want them to depersonalize, by the way, what does, when you're asking a seller to depersonalize their home, what does that mean?
We usually mean removing their photographs, their trophies, their knickknacks, all the little things that represent the family. Sometimes cultural items, religious items. Again, just making that space very appealing to any potential buyer.
And that we spoke about in class. I asked, how do you politically tell a client to that we have too much
Personal items.
personal items going on in this house, and we need to make it more neutral. What is?
And what we recommend, oftentimes those personal items are very valuable, so we actually tell them to pack it away so that they protect their items. They can be broken during open houses or kids running through the house. And secondly, we try to explain to them that by depersonalizing the house, that house becomes attractive to a wider audience. So I think just explaining to them and also protecting their items.
The wider eye.
Exactly.
Okay, let's go back to that screen with full staging, Ryan. If we can go back to that full staging. So included in this, the furnishing, okay, bedding. I see that, a lot of fancy new bedding.
Exactly, clean, fresh bedding with colorful throw pillows, as you've seen in the photos. That makes a huge difference, and that's one thing that sellers overlook. They present with their regular bedding, which is often worn or has been washed. It's faded.
Okay.
So that's huge.
Now patios, I see a lot of deferred maintenance in patios or old furniture. If it's old, patio furniture should go.
I say it should go, and sometimes people try to fill a large patio with a large table, and it doesn't need to be. Maybe a small little bistro set with 2 chairs is enough, but it has to be fresh. The look has to be fresh.
Welcome mats, we have those in the front.
Yes,
back,
a clean new
forward.
welcome mat makes a huge difference. It's that first impression a buyer gets.
Now the greenery, that could be artificial plants, silk plants.
Exactly. Those are easiest to maintain when the house is on the market.
Now what about art? This is a biggie in terms of art.
Yeah, art has to be neutral and size appropriate. If it's a huge wall, we want a nice big piece on the wall, but sometimes, too big of a piece in a wrong size wall looks too cluttered. So, and the art has, generally flowers or scenery or abstract art are good staging pieces.
What about in terms of mirrors, hanging mirrors on the wall?
Mirrors are nice. They reflect the light, and in fact, in staging, they say if you have a mirror somewhere, the buyers see themselves in that house, and it helps create an attachment to the home.
Throw pillows, I see those all over the place.
Yeah, throw pillows are a great staging accessory.
Multiple colors?
Yes.
And now the bath accessories. This is how I, as a realtor, I got involved, is cleaning up the bathrooms and the kitchen counters. So now that's with the multiple layered towels and things like that. Now, so that's easy when the house is vacant, but if people are living there,
that's a little tougher.
How do you coach them on that?
We actually ask them to put their regular towels away, and I give them kind of pre-wrapped sets of towels with raffia so they can just quickly hang it right before open house. Or sometimes they're okay with leaving it on their bathroom, and they leave the bathroom stage, but they put their personal items away somewhere in a closet or something.
And that's the same thing I tell my sellers, is that in the morning they could bring out the coffee pot and the toaster and then put it away before they go to work.
Exactly, and it makes a huge difference. It presents a cleaner space.
Speaking of clean, your partner at the seminar really stressed having a deep cleaning of the house.
Exactly. Even before staging, I would say it's critical to have it professionally deep cleaned, especially the grout and tiles and kitchen countertops. So many times we go to stage, even though it's been clean, it hasn't been deeply clean. And in staging we say it should sparkle. The faucets should sparkle. That makes a huge difference.
I know a lot of stagers keep cleaning items in their cars.
We do.
That it's just unacceptable to put your staging items on that countertop.
Exactly. We like a clean surface, so we have all.
Now, by the way, oftentimes you do the dining room table. There's only one table where the family can eat, or the people that live there, how do they have that fancy staging? What do they do? Take it off at breakfast and put it back on, or what do they do?
Yeah, and if they're living in the home, we may not do all the 4 table settings. We might just do a fancy
that's right.
centerpiece and a tray with 2 wine glasses and a wine bottle, which they can move on and off as they need.
Okay.
So there's little tricks.
All right, next slide. Okay, let's what do you see here?
So this is a full staging of this room. The furniture's been brought in and accent pieces. And again, the couches have been floated, so the whole room just seems much more airy than if they were against the wall. And it gives a visibility to all corners of the room. A buyer can walk around and look at the, at the walls, at the window, that kind of thing.
So this is much more interesting than the biotech industry.
This
is
is
that right? Okay.
Fun, I would say. Much more fun.
Now these plants, typically, if this is a vacant house, those are probably silk plants?
Those are probably silk plants, yes.
Okay.
And there's some greenery and some nice big art pieces. And there's just simple items put on the bookshelf, not crowded, just one item each, and it's something significant size. In staging, you don't use a lot of little items, so this just creates a nice, clean look.
That's what you termed in your seminar, you speak about this being accessories.
Yes,
personal accessories.
The smaller items are accessories, exactly.
Okay, next slide. And tell us about this.
Here's a home my team and I staged in Mountain View. Here we've used a large L-shaped sofa, but we wanted to keep the walking path to the back, the door that leads to the back patio open. So we have arranged it so that there's a nice, easy flow. We used a smaller what would represent a coffee table, but just a smaller table to keep that room very open. And then again, little touches of color. We have the red throw pillows and red floral art pieces.
So again, the larger couches, but we have a smaller coffee table.
Exactly. So we're trying to keep the size proportionate to the size of the room.
And that, in terms, you don't have a lot of color in the throw rug.
Yeah, the throw, again, it's neutral so that it brings the eye upward to the art pieces and where the colors are. Okay,
and a lot of people, for instance, this home looks like it was just painted. If the sellers go through this, spending thousands of dollars on painting, and they say, wait a second, you're going to put holes in my wall?
Yeah, that happens a lot. Most sellers aren't very hesitant about it. There are a few that are. And it's just a consequence of staging a home. And when we are done, we remove the nails. So there's little nail holes throughout, which can be fixed with touch-up paint and a little spackle.
And you typically place those where other paintings are going to hang for the new buyer.
Exactly.
Okay, next slide. Curb appeal. This was often neglected. You spoke about this in your seminar.
Yes, the one thing I would say is there should be some pops of color in the front, some flowers, red, yellow, something that draws the eye to the front of the house.
Now, in pricing properties, in my business, we typically, in my practice, we bring in an appraiser, and he's always talking about color in the front of the house. So this is something that you really spoke about in your seminar.
Yeah, this is the first point that a buyer sees the home, and I think if it's dull or drab, even if the home is beautiful, buyers want to have the cutest home on the block. Okay. And so flowers make it cute.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is a big difference from the previous slide.
Exactly, so this is kind of all the things that shouldn't be done. There's no color, there's a flag that's at half staff there, which should just be removed. The awnings can be removed from
So we have the
house.
awnings, it could be repainted, the awnings changed, the bricks could be painted.
There could be 2 flower planters at the front where right now there's just some trees in there.
So we could resod. Now oftentimes, like my appraisers or the vendors that come to the properties I work with, they give some ideas and they say you should get rid of all these plants and you could put a row of a lot of color at low level.
Exactly, and some bark gives it a nice fresh look.
Okay, next slide. Oh, here we go. Cleaning and cosmetic fixes. Let's talk about that.
Exactly, and one of the most important places for that is the bathroom and the kitchen. So deep cleaning is very important, and here we talk about updating light fixtures and cabinet hardware. That's a simple fix too.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of clients agree with that, and we do that, is they could go to Lowe's or Home Depot and spend $500 or $600 and get a ton of new fixtures, faucets, doorknobs.
Exactly, and makes a huge difference.
Makes a huge difference. And would you say it pays for itself?
It more than pays for itself on the back end.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is always We touched on this, having the sellers pack this stuff up and get it out of the house.
Exactly. That's a critical part of staging process if the seller is living in the home. And usually, as we live in a home, we just accumulate things, but we don't get rid of things. So when it comes time to sell, a seller doesn't see that there's all this extra stuff because they're so used to it. So when a stager comes in, we almost tell them to reduce their items by 50%, and it just lightens up the space.
Oh, 50%.
Yeah.
Okay. What about in the cupboards? I have some buyers look in the cabinets and look in the closets, and some don't. Do you do the same thing there? As
A little bit. We recommend lightly addressing the closets, removing, we don't want jam-packed full closets because often buyers, if they're really interested in property, they will be looking at the closets. They're looking to see if their items will fit. So lightening up those and neatening up the way the clothes are arranged is important.
Now in this picture, should they always have lights on in a staged house?
Yeah, it creates a nice ambiance as people are walking through the home.
What about classical music and the radio?
That's nice too. Any little touches that create a nice, just the type of life that you would want the buyers to see living.
Okay, next slide. Okay, this is not a staged house.
This is not a stage house. Pretty much lots of examples of what not to do. It's very cluttered, too many different items, little tchotchke type items and huge art pieces. And the sofa has definitely seen better days. And kind of the old style oak tables.
Now this is actually a photo from
MLS. Yes, exactly. This is an actual photo.
Out of state to protect the innocent. Okay, next slide. Declutter.
That one word is very important, just decluttering and opening up the space.
Moving furniture out. Also, you mentioned get the bed and get the couch away. So
away from the wall. Exactly. Moving the bed like 6 inches to a foot off the wall. Same thing with the couch. It just creates a nice airy look.
Okay, let's see if we have another slide. Okay, what do we see here in closing?
In closing, the last layer is adding all the little art pieces and the greenery. That just creates a nice polish on top of nice furniture.
Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
I know
it.
you came out here on short notice.
Thank you.
Thanks again for watching. We will see you next week. Take care.